Hey guys, what's going on? It's Eli, back with another review video, and yes, finally, at long last, I am reviewing the new season, and this being the triumphant return of Futurama. Yes, my review of Season 11 of Futurama. Yes. So, ever since the announcement was made that Futurama was getting revived and brought back thanks to Hulu, because I think, Hulu ordered a new season of Futurama, and the total of episodes for Season 11, I could have sworn I heard at first it was going to be 12, but no, because it's 10 episodes of Season 11. And it was exciting. It was really exciting to see and hear that Futurama was coming back, it was being resurrected, and from where it last left off in Season 10, and as we all remember, what happened at the very last episode of Season 10, and it did end on a high note, and it had a pretty good ending. The question was, and I know I probably established this when I reviewed all 10 seasons, what was to happen because, once Farnsworth pushed the button, was it just going to start back from the beginning? That would just kind of seem far-fetched. But no, it just picks up where it last left off. Everything is back to the way it is, time is restored, nothing has changed, and, aside from that crossover episode with the Futurama gang and The Simpsons, that probably, as of now, not being canon. So, however, Futurama having its own canon in The Simpsons world, you know what I mean? So, so with Season 11, what Season 11 had to offer, it didn't disappoint. It did not disappoint. It seems as though that Futurama has been getting some good receptions for its return, and, more seasons are on the way, of course. Yeah. And, of course, I had to watch Futurama when it began, and of course, I watched the first episode, and I waited until, the entirety of Season 11. Season 11 was finished, and thus, I would binge watch it, and thus, get to reviewing it, and thus, I finally did. I did finish watching, Season 11 of Futurama, and thus I'm now reviewing it. I gotta say, what was in Season 11? All 10 episodes? I think it was pretty good. The first episode, The Impossible Stream, because literally, right after where we last left off in the final episode of Season 10, and everything is restored, the story. Fry risks permanent insanity when he attempts to binge-watch every TV show ever made by making it his life goal. Because, apparently, he hasn't accomplished anything, like a life goal or anything like that. But hello, because Leela, is that not a life goal? And that's the thing, because speaking of which, I was wondering what Season 11 was going to do, and especially what was going on in Episode 1. I mean, they're still married, are they not? So, yeah. And when the show continued, Season 11, I think, it did explain it for me that, they are still together. So, yeah. I mean, besides, after 10 seasons and up to, at the time, the 10th and final season, that was the moment where they finally connected and got together. And for what was happening in Season 11, what happened at first, but then as the show proceeded, then, okay, so they are together and so on. They're still the same, even though they're together, you know what I mean? So, yeah. I thought Episode 1, The Impossible Stream, was pretty funny, and besides, because, again, Fry's goal is to just binge-watch every show, including one show that he's down to, that's his last show. He's been binge-watching for months, and I think, yeah, for over a year, and he's down to one more show, and the fact that the show got canceled years ago, I think, yeah, 10 years ago, and it's funny how in episode 1, they make fun of themselves. The show makes fun of itself, and rightfully so. In a good way, and in a funny way, of course. Because, well, Futurama, it came to an end 10 years ago, and yeah, if you've seen the episode, you know exactly. So I can keep going and go into further details, but I think you get the point. It's pretty funny. And Leela, of course, concerned and worried for Fry that if the show that he's down to, the last one he's down to, when it comes to an end, something bad's gonna happen to Fry, because how long he's been binge-watching, his brain will go to Jell-O. How they explain it in the episode. And Leela and Bender, they bring back the show, and they're just crapping out, a lot of episodes, script by script, and them just quickly acting it, and even apparently, because Calculon appears in this, and he's brought back from Robot Hell, and we do get an appearance of Robot Devil, and Calculon, who was a part of this show, he's brought back for it. The cast from the show is brought back for this, and at the very end, because, Fulu, that's the name of the company, of course it's a parody of Hulu, they shut down the show that was revived, and all that's left is to just do it live, act out an episode live in front of Fry, who's in this sit-still machine, this suit, and at one point something bad happens, and the sit-still suit, it explodes. It turns out Fry was no longer in the suit. He actually got out of the suit 2 days ago, because he just decided to give up on the binge-watching thing. But yeah, overall, The Impossible Stream was a pretty funny episode. Episode 2, Children of a Lesser Bog. Yeah, Episode 2, Children of a Lesser Bog. Story. When Amy and Kif's children emerge from an alien swamp, they struggle with the pressures of parenthood. Things continue to get complicated when Amy's right to raise the kids comes into question. Yeah, so apparently, because time froze for around 10 years, and the year and time setting of season 11 takes place in 3023, and apparently the due date of Amy and Kif's children emerging from an alien swamp is due today, because, it has been long since due, and thus, we get the introduction of Amy and Kif's 3 kids, two little aliens, and one who's a teenager. And of course, acting like a teenager, whatever. Yeah, those kind of teenagers. And it seems as though that probably, yeah, because Leela is a parent as well to Kif's kids, because apparently the episode establishes that at one point there was a thing going on between Leela and Kif, and Amy at one point becomes jealous of Leela and the kids spending more time with Leela, even though she's really trying to be an aunt to them and so on. And at one point Kif had to, go to his duties with, working with Captain Zap Bradigan. Yeah, his name almost slipped out of my head, but it was good thing I was quick enough to remember his name, Zap Bradigan. And that's the thing, because of course we have most of the well-known characters of Future, aside from the Planet Express crew. As I mentioned, we've got Robot Devil, we've got Zap Bradigan, we've got Mom, we've got the characters that you would see on the moon. We have that bird character, who's supposed to be, a Foghorn Leghorn wannabe. Robo Santa is in this, and until I get to that episode, yeah. Leela's parents, they make a few appearances in a few episodes. Yeah, just so many well-known familiar characters from Futurama. Of course, they're back. So yeah. So again, Kif, he has to go back to his duties with Zap Bradigan, and at one point they come face to face, with these bear-like aliens. They act like bears. So, and things just getting out of hand, and with Amy's right to raise the kids, and which comes to question. But of course, in the end, everything is resolved, and of course, Amy and Kif, especially Amy, raising their kids and so on. And even one point Amy apologized to Leela for being so jealous, So yeah, I think episode 2 was not that bad. Okay, so episode 3, how the West was 1010001. I mean, that's just how I'm saying it, Okay, story. Bender and the Planet Express crew turn prospectors when they head to the new American West to try their luck in the Bitcoin mining rush. Okay, episode 3, I thought it was okay. It's not one of my favorites, in this season. I mean, Futurama has previously done some Western stuff, like, most notably, Into the Wild Green Yonder, that Futurama TV movie, the 4th and final Futurama TV movie, especially, that, and they've done some Western stuff here and there in, the previous seasons, and once again, they're doing it again. And yeah, because the whole thing of them with, the Bitcoin and such, and just a lot of characters are doing so much, for example, because, again, the Bitcoin mining rush. And for one thing, we get the appearance of Hermes' son, Dwight Conrad. Yeah, because Hermes Conrad and Dwight Conrad, that's their last names. And, father and son time during that episode. And also, Fry and Leela, they meet this robot prospector who Fry admires. But then, later on in the episode, it turns out that this robot prospector is a phony. And there's one moment where they come face to face with a mountain lion, but they're calling it by different names like cougar and so on, but it's a mountain lion, so. And funny moments here and there with, say, Amy, Bender, and we get some other familiar faces in this, like Joey Mousepad. We get, those, funny robots that we've seen in Futurama before, yeah. And just so much happening in this episode. And like I said, it's not one of my favorites, but I did laugh. I did laugh. I, of course, laughed. I at what the episode had to offer. And, I gotta say, because the design and look of the Prospector robot, clearly, and as of now that I'm thinking of it, I want to think if he was modeled after Sam Elliott, because I don't know. I think it's obvious, don't you think? I don't know, because it just popped in my head. I don't know why I didn't think of that when I watched this episode. Yeah, and David Herman, because he voices the Prospector, and. Yeah, and that's another thing, because Scruffy the janitor, of course we have Scruffy the janitor, he just randomly pops up whenever, and of course, he's in season 11, yeah. So it was good to see Rusty, of course, the janitor at Planet Express, yeah. Yeah, but overall, episode 3, How the West was 1010001, I thought it was okay. Not bad. It's not one of my favorites, but I, of course, thought it was okay, good, and like I said, I, of course, did laugh at what was in the episode. Okay, and episode 4, Parasites Regained. Okay, so in this episode, and of course read the description / the story, after Nibbler falls ill, the crew shrinks down for a dangerous mission into a desert world contained within his litter box. Yeah, and this is where Nibbler returns, and Nibbler, once again, being voiced by Frank Welker, the legendary voice actor himself, Frank Welker, and of course, Nibbler is still Leela's pet, and because I almost forgot that sometimes Leela forgets that Nibbler can talk, and and Leela, saying, "You can talk, Nibbler," and you always forget that I talk. That was funny. After Nibbler eats something, like he first ate a dog and then a human, and just something, I guess, from the human that just made him sick and vomit, and Nibbler had to take, like, these pills, up to 3 hours. Because something in his system, like he has worms, and at one point the Planet Express crew, they shrink down and they go and explore, in this desert world that's in his litter box, and these creatures that they come face to face with, they're bugs and they're dung beetles, and some of the dung beetles, actually, because two of them being voiced by Kyle McColligan, if I'm saying his last name right, and Ego Wendomdem, I think I'm saying that right, yeah. And, yeah, it was pretty interesting what this episode had to offer, and, like, what was going on in Nibbler's litter box. It was funny. And there was also these pygmy hyena moles they were voiced by Frank Welker, yeah. And just, trying to cure and to, make Nibbler feel better and so on. Yeah, I think episode 4 was pretty interesting. And what was going on, and, again, with the returning appearance of Nibbler, another member of the Planet Express crew, technically, again, because, he's Leela's pet, and, so, any episode, I'm pretty sure, because, any episode that has to do with Nibbler, everybody seems to enjoy those episodes with Nibbler. Because, yeah, no doubt about it, because Nibbler is the fan favorite of Futurama, next to a bunch of others, like, I guess Bender's one of them, because I love Bender, so, okay. So, yeah, episode 4, Parasites Regained, a not bad episode, and for this one, focusing and centering on everyone's favorite little alien creature of Futurama, Nibbler, yeah. Okay, episode 5. Yeah, I think episode 5 was one of my favorite episodes of this season, along with another one that's actually after this one, and until I get to that. Okay, so episode 5, titled Related to Items You've Viewed. Story: Bender uncovers the many mysteries of the vast Mamazon corporation and its control of human civilization. Yes, oh my gosh, like, what was going on in this episode? Let me tell you, because obviously, in this episode, Mamazon, obviously, this has to do with Mom. Yeah, and this is where Mom comes back. And she started her company called Mamazon. And, yeah, Amazon, Mamazon, you get it. So, and basically, like robots, they're employed at Mamazon. And a little bit later, Bender, he quits Planet Express, and now he works briefly at Mamazon, but what happens next? And just basically Mamazon has this robot app called Invaza, I think, yeah, I'm saying that right. Clearly, because Invaza is a parody of Alexa, yeah, no doubt about it. So, Invaza, helping out with anybody who wants an order, and anything that anybody orders online, just with a snap, just gets to them quickly. And for Fry and Leela, because also in this episode, and the reason why Bender quits and ditches Planet Express and works at Mamazon, well, is because Leela finally moves in with Fry, alongside with Bender, the apartment building that Bender and Fry live in, the robot apartment building that, and Bender just, Bender being Bender, he becomes sad and jealous of Leela and Fry, together, and, because Leela moving in and so on. And, yeah, that was when Bender, he quit Planet Express and now, signed up for Mamazon. And with Leela and Fry now moving in and living together, and the items and stuff that they get, and, with the help of Invaza and, with Mamazon, just so many items and furniture that they get, it's pretty funny. And what happens with Bender at one point, well, he's at one point doomed, in distress, because now he's under control because of Invaza. Invaza has become a mind of its own, and the Planet Express crew think that, well, this has to do with Mom, like, she's in on this, but no, it's all Invaza. And even Leela and Fry received a message from Bender, help! That was funny. And Mom, of course, realizes that something's wrong too. So, with her three sons, Fry, Leela, Professor Farnsworth, and the rest of the Planet Express crew trying to stop and defeat Invaza. But at one point, something happens with Mamazon, the main Mamazon building that resides on the moon. And yeah, because we do get the moon, of course, and what's on the moon. Even that moon mascot character, you remember that character? Yeah, because, yeah, he's back. And the Mamazon building grows, like, it expands from the moon, the Earth, even the sun, and the planets, the entire solar system. So basically, Mamazon now has control of the universe. And after that episode, and continuing on, it's never explained or mentioned again. At least for now. I don't know. I mean, it's, it's up to the guys at Futurama if, like, them continuing this joke and something like that. I'd like to imagine that probably at some point, maybe Invaza just gave up or something and just decided to just shrink Mamazon back to what it originally was. So yeah. And I think, like, because if I remember correctly, and if I'm saying this correctly, nanobots or micro, whatever it was, that's, because of what's on that building, and for it expanding and growing, golly. And of course, Bender is rescued and such, and, yeah, it kind of doesn't end on kind of does, but doesn't end on a happy note, because again, Mamazon just growing, and there's nothing that they can do about it. Golly. But, it's creative and funny with what, this episode does, parroting Amazon, Alexa, all that stuff. Today's online shopping and all that stuff, pretty clever. And besides, the future and Futurama, you get what I'm saying. Yeah, it was pretty, yeah. Episode 5, was a good episode. It definitely was. And like I said, that one being one of my favorite episodes of Season 11. Yeah, Episode 5, related to items you've viewed. And now, we come to Episode 6, another one of my favorites. And the title of it is, I Know What You Did Next Xmas. Yes. We get the Futurama Christmas episode. Well, I mean, even though, because Futurama Season 11 began in late July and continued on in August, so we got a Christmas episode in the summertime. Yay! Well, I mean, that's happened before. Some Christmas materials, whether if it's at, like, movies or, maybe something TV, they would sometimes come out not during the holidays, so, but, no doubt about it that any Futurama fans like myself would watch a Futurama episode that is Christmassy around the holidays. Yeah, and that's the perfect opportunity to do so. Okay, so, the story/description of Episode 6. Okay, Professor Farnsworth plans to stop Robot Santa for good. However, when Bender and Zoidberg attack him after traveling through time, their actions have unexpected consequences. Okay, episode 6, I think, was really good, and this probably be my number 1 favorite episode of season 11, and number 2 would be episode 5, because, as I established and explained, episode 5 was another one of my favorites of season 11. So, yeah, really good stuff, and of course, hilarious stuff happening in this episode. Farnsworth attempting to go back in time and, restore Robo-Santa to the way he's supposed to be. A good Robo-Santa. So, traveling back in time, in the 28th century and such, 27th century technically, to restore Robo-Santa back to the way he is, because according to Farnsworth, there was a malfunction that happened, and, what happened was, he turned to a bad Robo-Santa, as we all know. So Farnsworth attempting to, restore Robo-Santa, and it seems like that he has succeeded. And also, all of the Planet Express crew members, they are off from work and, of course, spending time with their family and loved ones. We do get the returning appearance of, Hubert Farnsworth, being voiced by, once again, Kath Susie, and Leela with her parents, and, the Farnsworths spending time, of course, Philip J. Fry, Hubert, and Professor Farnsworth, etc. Kif and Amy spending time with, Amy's parents. And it was pretty funny, because, wearing Christmas sweaters, and I think, the mom, quickly changed their sweaters right before the picture was taken of all of them, family Christmas photo. And as for, Bender and Zoidberg, they remained back at the Planet Express building. I think, because they were at one point going to be with Fry, because Fry was going to, be with Leela, with her parents. And it was funny, because, Leela at one point saying that, it'll be the first time that Fry meets her parents, even though he had before, but didn't really make a good impression on them. Yeah. And Zoidberg just trying to hang out with Bender, but, he refuses. But, what happens to both Bender and Zoidberg? They do start, bonding, and what they do next, they think they screwed up because, apparently Bender received, a message saying, directed at him, I know what you did next Xmas, and so on. And at one point, they travel back in time, and they capture Robo-Santa, and, because again, it seems like they screwed up, and by killing Robo-Santa, and fearing that there's going to be no Robo-Santa for this Christmas, and for any other Christmas/Xmas years to come. And they just try to hide evidence that they accidentally killed Robo-Santa. It's pretty funny. Also, I'd like to mention, because when Farnsworth was time traveling, and we do see some moments that, we saw in Futurama when, I think, New York was destroyed, and then medieval castles were built, then they were destroyed, and then the future was built. Call back to the first episode of Futurama. And we do get a brief appearance, a little snippet of, Disenchantment. Disenchantment, it's in there. Not to mention, there was a bit of a Futurama Easter egg in Disenchantment. Yeah, so talk about a connection. So, and everybody, because, and even, of course, Hermes with his family, of course, and his son. And speaking of which, because, and since I mentioned Hubert, this is where he first appeared, and, he made a comeback. At one point when Bender and Zoidberg, they're trying to drown Robo-Santa's body, but they're having no luck. What were they thinking? They, at one point, almost get caught by our two favorite futuristic policemen, Smitty and Earl, and this time, Earl being voiced by Kevin Michael Richardson. As Earl was previously voiced by John DiMaggio, now he's being voiced by Kevin Michael Richardson, as we all know. And come on, this is Kevin Michael Richard we're talking about. He's a fantastic voice actor, and he's good doing any voice. And you know what? I think he was pretty good voicing Earl. Yeah, because, again, he's Kevin Michael Richardson. What more do I have to say? And so Bender and Zoidberg, especially Bender, quick enough to, explain what they're doing so, they don't get caught because of, them trying to drown Robo-Santa's body. And, they're okay, and, they don't get caught by Smitty and Earl, go on your business and so on. And by the way, because I think, in this episode, this is where we got the returning appearance of not just Q*bert, Earl, and Smitty, but also LaBarbara, Hermes' wife, once again being voiced by Don Lewis. Yeah, I think I got that right. So, and later on, the Planet Express crew all come back to the Planet Express building to, bring Christmas to Zoidberg and Bender and Zoidberg still trying to hide evidence that they accidentally murdered and killed Robo-Santa, even when Zoidberg can't take it and Bender just gets him to shut up, but sure enough, because Bender and Zoidberg, they're worried that Robo-Santa's not going to appear. He does. But, you think at first that, well, it seems like Professor Farnsworth accomplished, turning Robo-Santa back to good. But nope, he's still the same old Robo-Santa attacking and terrorizing the Planet Express crew. And, well, because it turns out, we then see Bender and Zoidberg show up in the time machine because they didn't travel back in time like where Farnsworth was going. They traveled to the present time on Christmas Eve, etc., and that's what happened. And of course, the Planet Express crew find out, and, well, they think that they messed up. Bender and Zoidberg, but no. Farnsworth tells them that they're the heroes, and that message that was given to Bender, that was written by Robo-Santa, and of course Robo-Santa, who was captured, and he was taken apart piece by piece. Even, like, his head was turned into, like, a fruit punch ball, I want to say. Yeah, it was pretty funny. And so he was the one that wrote that message to Bender, and yeah, that was pretty funny. Even at one point, because Bender mentioned something about Amy, something of her social media, and Robo-Santa destroys Amy's phone. That was pretty funny. Yeah, just overall, what Episode 6 had to offer, I Know What You Did Next, Xmas. It was really good, and for this being a Christmassy Futurama episode. And I can't forget to mention that in this episode, we had two special voice guests. Sarah Da Vinci, yeah, I think I got her full name right. She was the voice of the TV special Screams, and Mark Hamill. He was the Hanukkah zombie, yeah, because of mentioning of zombies and such. And this would be the last time we would see Kwanzaa Bot. I mean, at least hearing his voice. Being voiced by the late Coolio. Yeah, because right before the episode end, Kwanzaa Bot showed up and did a Christmas rap. And yeah, like, this was Coolio's last time voicing Kwanzaa Bot. It's a shame. And not to mention, apparently, Coolio recorded his dialogue and the rap song a few weeks before he would sadly pass away. And, of course, this episode being in memory of him. Yeah, may Coolio rest in peace, the voice of Kwanzaa Bot. Yeah. So again, Episode 6, I Know What You Did Next, Xmas. It was a good episode, and for this being one of my favorite episodes of Season 11. Okay, 6 episodes down, 4 more to go. And Episode 7, I'm pretty sure a lot of us should have seen this coming for Futurama, because knowing Futurama, they obviously would have done something like this. I wasn't really sure at first, like, would they really do this? I mean, it is a cartoon, but, well, they did. They did. Episode 7, Race Against the Vaccine. Yes, so, alright, the story. When a new disease called the Explosive 23 surfaces and starts ravaging future Earth, the Planet Express crew has to stay inside. Yeah, Futurama having their own, like, COVID, like, virus, and as I read, Explosive 23. Of course, you have to have the numbers, so yeah. And, well, the fact, because, I think, yeah, by this episode, like, the whole thing of COVID-19 has officially come to an end, and, this was announced by, Bill Nye the Science Head, and actually, it is Bill Nye the Science Guy voicing himself. I wasn't sure at first, because I couldn't tell if that was his voice, but now that I'm seeing it on the IMDb page, yes, it is Bill Nye himself. Of course, they have to have, like, most of the celebrities who, are the heads, you know what I mean? So yeah, just like most notably, Star Trek, remember that? Yeah. When they had Leonard Nimoy and William Shatner at times, especially Leonard Nimoy, so yeah. So yeah, Bill Nye, who makes a cameo and announces that the COVID-19 has officially come to an end, but because it officially came to an end, a new virus has started. And this virus basically has the people of the future just go into rage and arguing and fighting with one another. And yeah, we then see the Planet Express crew in quarantine, and they're like, video chatting each other, those. It's pretty funny. And I'm pretty sure, yeah, this is where Scruffy makes his first appearance in season 11, yeah. And Leela getting infected by the virus, she's thrown in a dome, and, even Fry just can't bear to be, separated from Leela. And Hermes, it's all up to Hermes to try to find, something to stop this virus. And the only way to do it is voodoo. Yeah, that's basically what it is. Voodoo. Voodoo can stop this virus. And at one point, Hermes, he travels to, I want to say New Orleans, like a New Orleans-type place. I'm pretty sure it is. You can let me know. Correct me. And, he goes and meets someone who can help and, do this voodoo thing to end the virus like that. And it turns out to be Barbados, Hermes' competitor, against his wife. Yeah, Barbados, once again, being voiced by Kevin Michael Richardson, and La Barbara, like, dang it, La Barbara, like, come on, Hermes is your husband, okay? He's your lover. What is going on? Jeez. And just like, what happened in Bender's Big Score. Yeah, so, Barbados. So Barbados is the one who Hermes meets, and, them making this voodoo medicine, I want to say, to this, and basically, like, voodoo is the cure to end this virus. We also get the returning appearance of Lur. You remember Lur? Because at one point, like, some videos being posted online, because this has to do with, well, them, insulting and arguing with one another, as I mentioned, and Lur and his family are responsible for posting that stuff online, on that Facebook wannabe website in Futurama. Yeah. And Lur and his wife traveling to Earth, and they apparently get infected as well and start arguing with one another too. Even Bender's is kind of joining in, even though, because he's a robot. How can he get the virus? Because I think, yeah, Amy did question Bender, and, Bender's like, what virus? Bender. And at one point, Fry, he can't take it anymore, and he joins Leela in the dome, even though, because they might fight one another, but they still make out. So, Hermes, La Barbara, and Barbados, they do the voodoo medicine, and they bring it back to those who need it, and thus they're cured, like, having their own voodoo dolls, and them getting pinned, because of the voodoo and such. Even Bender has his own voodoo doll, like, well, I mean, anything's possible for the robots of Futurama, especially Bender, let's face it, because one episode where he died, and his ghost, like, what more do I have to say? Like, golly, what Futurama does with these robots. But yeah, with all that being said, episode 7, Rage Against the Vaccine, it was a good episode, and I think it was pretty well done with what Futurama had in store, and what happens in the show because of, like, them having a virus and so on. Yeah. Okay, so 3 more to go. Episode 8, Zap Gets Cancelled. Yeah, we've got an episode that centers on good old Zap Brannigan. Okay, story. When Zap Brannigan is cancelled for his crude behavior, Leela takes over as captain of the Nimbus on a critical mission. Yeah, so much happening in this one, let me tell you, because, yeah, first off, Zap Brannigan getting canceled, oh my gosh. Not to mention, because, there was an episode in one of the early seasons of Futurama where he got fired, and, well, because he kind of gets fired again, it's just, this time he gets canceled. Yeah, I think still, he gets fired. Like, especially because this has to do with what Kif was doing for Zap Brannigan. Kif, like, at one point, was being used as a towel! Jeez Louise, like, how much of a jerk Zap Brannigan can be to his shipmate, Kif. And yeah, again, because he is canceled and he is sent, for training and such to, become a much better person and so on. And, we get the introduction of a new character who is helping and, training Zap along with 2 other captains who they too were canceled. Dr. Gary Kind, being voiced by John DiMaggio. I don't know, at one point, for just a few seconds, I was thinking he almost sounded like Tom Kenny. I don't know why, but that just popped in my head, and I'm sure you guys have had that kind of experience too. Like, he sounds like this voice actor. You know what I mean? Just, yeah. And with Leela, now captain of the Nimbus, and with, Fry and Bender joining alongside her, this mission that they take part in, with these, like, creatures, like, I don't know how else to explain, about them. Like, also, yeah, the 2 other captains who were canceled and, they're with Zap Brannigan getting trained and such. Captain Cranky being voiced by Kathy Griffin, and Flashnut being voiced by David Herman, aka the voice of Scruffy. Yeah. Of course, yeah, David Herman, he does a lot of other voices in Futurama, so. So apparently the mission that they take part in, Leela, now captain, like, apparently, like, I don't know, these squishy, like, creatures, whatever the heck they are, if I put, like, a caption or something, like, because the names of them. And, yeah, because at one point, they have to take care of this, like, I want to say, like, breathing, like, thing that they have, that, basically, like, I don't know how to describe it, because it's just weird, like, some stuff in science fiction, and, things that, are a bit strange. Well, I mean, because, for aliens and shows and stuff like that, but this, like, powerful, like, air that comes from this giant hole, and even, like, at one point it makes Fry float, and, more moments with Zap Bradigan being trained by Dr. Gary Kind, who's this little guy, and but he can grow, and he's got these long arms, and he can be intimidating. And it turns out that Dr. Gary Kind is a bad guy, is a bad alien, and was almost about to throw something smelly and gross like this vegetable or whatever it was, Zap Bradigan, he does, change his ways. Like, he becomes a much better man, supposedly, knowing him. And he's reassigned to being captain of the Nimbus. And even at one point, because, he was ordered to fire upon, Dr. Gary Kind, but, he just refused, and then Dr. Gary Kind took the position of being captain of the Nimbus and ordered, the ship to fire on him, and thus he did, and thus he was vaporized. And, because, it was nice for Zap not to, murder and kill Dr. Gary Kind after what Dr. Gary Kind did for him. Yeah. But yeah, nice to see that Zap Bradigan, he's, back being captain of the Nimbus, and maybe, hopefully, he'll cooperate and not be like what he's been before, especially, how he treated Kif. We'll just have to wait and see, knowing him. Yeah. But overall, this episode, centering on Zap, episode 8. Zap gets canceled. It was funny, and what was going on, and, with, Zap Bradigan and what's going on with him in this episode, and so much interesting things going on, it was fine. I think the more I think of it, it's not, I think it's another one of those episodes where it's not one of my favorites, but I thought it was okay. I think it was pretty good, and of course, I did laugh at what this episode had to offer. Yeah. Okay, so again, episode 8, Zap gets canceled. A good episode. Decent for me, so yeah. Okay, 2 more episodes left. Next, episode 9, The Prince and the Product. Yeah, and unfortunately, episode 9 was the lowest rating episode of season 11 and one of the top worst episodes of Futurama, I want to say. No doubt about it. But for me, I don't know, because I think episode 9 was not bad. I liked what it was doing, especially because what was happening throughout the entire episode, I was thinking, it was what was happening at first, that was, of course, going to be the focus, but no. Advertisements that play in this episode, they're the main focus. But before I talk more about that, need to read the story, the description / the story. Leela falls in love with the Prince of Space. The crew members are reborn as toys and have to deal with living in a smaller world. Okay, again, like I said, I thought, it was gonna be, this episode was gonna focus on that, and I was not expecting at first those toy advertisements to continue on and finding out that they were the main focus of this episode, not just the one with, Leela falling in love with the Prince of Space. Yeah. About the part with Leela falling in love with the Prince of Space, because they arrive on a planet where they are to deliver a portrait made of macaroni, apparently. The late queen of the King of Space, yeah. The Queen of Space, who sadly died, and, she was the queen and wife to the King of Space. And the King of Space being voiced by David Herman. And we have the Prince of Space, who at one point comes in and he helps, adjust the portrait of his late mother. Yeah, the Prince of Space being voiced by Phil Lamar. And that best summons up, in describing who they are. The King and Prince of Space, no alien-like name for them. That's how they're referred. The King and Prince of Space. Wow. Okay. And, again, Leela falling in love with the Prince of Space, but hello? Again, are Leela and Fry now not together officially? Come on, show, like, wake up, like, I don't know, and as I said early on, and especially what happened at the end of Season 10, it finally happened, and what happened next, in Season 11, but again, because it seems as though that, yeah, they are officially together, and what happens at the end of the episode, we find out, because, why she fell in love with the Prince of Space. Alright, so at one point, the King of Space disapproves and forbids, his son and Leela getting married and so on, but Fry, because he has no choice, and he can see how happy Leela is. He wants the wedding to happen, and he, at one point, kind of hits the wall and causes the portrait made of macaroni of the late Queen of Space / the wife of the King of Space to, fall off the portrait. And even, cooking the macaroni in a pot, cauldron, cauldron. And this causes Fry to, face a tournament. If Fry wins, the wedding is on. If he loses and the King of Space wins, the wedding is off, but also Fry's head is off. And what happens next is, well, the tournament is about to happen. Leela steps in, and she takes Fry's place, because she doesn't want Fry to get hurt or killed, because of how much she loves Fry. And so, Leela, facing off, I think it is, the Prince of Space. And of course, Leela does win, but she still killed the King of Space, yeah. And it turns out that, apparently, the only reason Leela was in love with the Prince of Space is because she was under a spell, like a magical spell, but Farnsworth steps in on a video screen, because I think he's back at on Earth and at Planet Express. He corrects them that it was a science spell that she was on. So that's what it was. And of course, Leela and Fry still being in love and so on. And so that, for that being very short, what was going on the planet and with that tournament and with the Prince and King of Space, that was very short. The main focus, pretty much the main focus of this episode were, well, the toy products. One that was a spoof off of, Hot Wheels, wind-up toys, and one that was a parody and spoof off of, ducks, squeaky ducks, that Ernie has. And, the wobbly eggs, those. And I actually think that those, toy product segments, I think they were pretty good. It was pretty clever, and to see them as those toy products, especially because, Fry in the wind-up toy segment, I think they're called, Windos, Fry is running out of, winding, and he at one point dies, but Bender, he sacrifices himself to, bring back Fry, coming to life, and, his key still winding, and, Bender, unfortunately, getting killed literally. He tumbles and he lands into a lava pit, but he gets resurrected. That was the answer to bring him back, being resurrected, and now he's like a flying toy plane. Yeah. And the one with the Hot Wheels, because it was pretty funny and clever, because, well, you have those Hot Wheel race tracks and how they travel from Earth to another planet. That was funny. And basically, something is happening to the Planet Express crew that are in the form of Hot Wheels. one by one, because something happens to them, and, like, they're not supposed to take this phone call that will destroy them, that will lure them into whatever it is, and thus they're destroyed and they're missing. And it turns out, because the only one that's left is Hermes, and he discovers that Zoidberg is responsible for doing something to the Planet Express crew, because early on, Zoidberg was left behind because how many of them can fit in, like, you know, the Planet Express ship, you know, in the style of Hot Wheels, those kind of Hot Wheel products, and yeah, Zoidberg being left behind, and because of that, he gets revenge on them, and he took pieces of the Planet Express crew, putting it on him, so he can be a part of them, and so on. It was funny. And he even, at one point, took his face off, and put Hermes on, and of course, yeah, Zoidberg lost, and now they're all together. So, yeah, that was pretty funny. And the one with the ducks and the wobbly eggs is basically like with some of them as ducks and some of them as wobbly eggs. With them as ducks, it's Fry, Amy, Farnsworth, and Zoidberg. Yeah, Zoidberg. And for the wobbly eggs, it's Scruffy, Bender, Leela, and Hermes. And they're against each other, you know, but what happens is like a Romeo and Juliet thing. You know, Duck Fry and, you know, Leela as an egg, they fall in love, and it seems like, you know, everything's going good between the ducks and the wobbly eggs. They have dinner at one point, and they cooked Zoidberg the duck. But it doesn't take too long for them to basically go at each other. It's war for them, and a pretty funny war between the ducks and the wobbly eggs, and in the end, they all lost, and Leela and Fry, they both die and, you know, say their final goodbye, and what happens next is that an egg, you know, the Leela egg, you know, it cracked open, and I think, yeah, because the Fry duck laid an egg, and out pops, you know, their own children. So, yeah, and that's how it ends. Yeah. I gotta say, episode 9, The Prince and the Product, was an interesting episode. I didn't think it was that bad. I did not, for once, when watching this episode, did I hate it, or I was like, oh my gosh, this is terrible. I found it pretty interesting, and again, what they did, you know, spoofing those toy products and those characters in the form of those toy products. You know, not to mention, some of them being ducks. Also, forgot to mention, we even see Zap Bradigan and Kif as ducks. It's nice to see them with yellow skin. You know, some of them as ducks. Simpsons, get it? I mean, imagine what they would look like with the yellow skin, you know, from The Simpsons. Yeah. Yeah. But again, overall, episode 9, The Prince and the Product, an okay episode. I understand it's not the best, but I thought it was not that bad. And I'm sure some of you thought it was pretty decent too. I'm sure I can't be the only one. All right, we're down to the last episode of Season 11, Episode 10, titled All the Way Down, the description / the story. When the professor creates a simulation of the entire universe, the crew investigates whether or not everyone lives in a simulation and if that actually matters. Yeah, so in the 10th and final episode of Season 11, yeah, again, it's, for me, like, it's one of those Futurama episodes where so much is happening, and this one entirely centering on the Planet Express crew, and very fitting, and, you know, seeing as how this is the final episode of Season 11. Yeah, because again, Professor Farnsworth creates a simulation, starts off creating a simulation where the Planet Express crew are in the form of 8-bit, literally, which is pretty cool and creative, you know. What you can do with 8-bit, just, geez Louise. even like, yeah, because with the cast, like, not only do they voice the main characters, but, you know, they, like, I'm looking at it, because, like, simulated Philip J. Fry, simulated Professor Farnsworth, yeah, it's funny. And apparently, because with this simulation that Farnsworth has created, well, these simulated versions of themselves have a mind to their own, and they have a life to them. And, you know, they do not know that they are being watched over by the actual Planet Express crew. So, yeah. And things, like, as the episode proceeds, like, things are getting out of hand and are not looking good with this whole simulation thing. Not to mention, there's a second simulation created. This time, this other simulated world, universe with the Planet Express crew, it's just their normal selves watching over the simulated universe/world where they're in the form of 8-bit. Yeah. And again, just things getting out of hand, and it seems like, you know, doom is upon the simulated versions of themselves and, you know, probably them. And yeah, like, you know, and to quote Bender, doomed! So, yeah. Even like the other simulated versions of them, just their ordinary selves, not the 8-bit ones, they are wondering if, well, because if they're real or not, and to go and investigate, to prove and see, you know, and if there's something else that, you know, that is a simulation too, like, if themselves, the actual Planet Express crew themselves, if they're a simulation as well, but that's not the case, you know. I think they're kind of, yeah, because I think they're just what-ifing themselves, like, if they are a simulation. So yeah, even at one point, because they send Bender down to the simulated universe/world, where, again, not the 8-bit, the one with where they're themselves, where they are the ones that are going to investigate and find out if there's something else and to prove if they are real and such. So the actual Bender is sent to take the simulated Bender's place, and, you know, he was going to tell them the truth, but Fry, the simulated Fry, steps in and, you know, telling them that it doesn't matter whether if it's real or not, especially, like, when he turns to Leela, you know, because, you know, the romance between them and so on. It was very sweet with what Fry had to say, yeah. And, you know, all ends well for the simulated versions of the Planet Express crew. Disaster does not strike on any of them, including the, you know, even the actual Planet Express crew themselves, you know. Yeah. And it was pretty funny, because, like, right before that episode end, like, basically, like, what happened next was that it was going to be in slow-mo. The simulated versions of the Planet Express crew would be in slow-mo, and they were about to kiss, and I was wondering, like, well, what's gonna happen? Are we gonna see them touch lips? Like, and will the credits show? The credits did show even before they you know, lips touched. So yeah, that was a funny way to end the episode. And it was really nice with the music that was playing, not the Futurama theme that was playing as it usually does in the end credits, but a different piece of music. That sometimes happens for some shows. It depends, you know. I can think of some. If you get if you get what I'm saying, you know, it depends on the mood, on what's going on in a TV episode, etc. And, you know, funny moments that happen in this episode, yeah, because with what happens in the 8-bit universe and world, you know, where they're 8-bit, like, they travel to Italy. At one point, Bender got arrested, and Fry and Leela, you know, having romantic time in Italy, and, like, even them kissing. that was funny. Yeah. Yeah, just overall, the 10th and final episode of Season 11, all the way down, was a good episode and a fitting way for it to be the final episode of Season 11. No doubt about it. Yeah, so season 11 of Futurama, you know, Futurama, it's finally come back, and what season 11 had in stored, what it had to offer, with all 10 episodes, yeah, really good, and, I mean, aside from one of them being, but yeah, the entirety of season 11, fantastic, and until season 12 and the later seasons to come, yeah. The more Futurama, the more the merrier, yeah. And, well, I give season 11 10 out of 10. I mean, heck, I give Futurama 10 out of 10 stars, as I have before when reviewing seasons 1 to 10. Yeah, so what more do I have to say? 10 out of 10 for Futurama, and that goes for season 11. So what about you guys? What did you think of season 11? Was this, like, the epic comeback for Futurama to you, with what season 11 had in stored, and, where it picked up after what happened in season 10? Which were some of your favorite episodes of season 11? Yeah, just let me know, and, what did you think of my review? Leave comments, and give this review video a like, as always. So, with all that being said, thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed my review of season 11 of Futurama. More review videos are on the way. They're going to be awesome. Keep looking forward, and I'll see you guys in the next video/review. Take care, and until season 12 of Futurama, peace out. We're back, baby!